All right. Okay, fair warning. The other class had a brain meltdown, so this might happen to you. Get yourselves ready. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you to something called Code Wars. Please go there and sign in with your GitHub account. Sign up with your GitHub account. Codewars.com. Yeah. Let me explain what this space is about. This is where you can build your logical foundation. There's a lot of very hard code in here. And I'll show you exactly what it is. When you press sign up, first of all, it will ask you to choose the script that you're going to use. You're going to be using, well, which one do you want to use? JavaScript. It's the only one that you want right now. And then it will test you to see if you know what you're doing. So it says this code does not execute properly. Try to figure out why. Hey, does anyone know why it doesn't execute properly? Everyone has to sign up to it. That's not, well, you just need a GitHub. I hope you still have your GitHub account. Yeah. You just need a GitHub account. Do you know why this doesn't execute properly?
Is it not in practice or something?
It's because there's no return. Oh. You type return in and submit. And then you can link your GitHub accounts to it. Please do that right now.
Okay. Just be return and space.
Once you are in, you'll be directed to a dashboard. And you would see a whole bunch of neat things on there. Yeah, just use JavaScript. And you'll see that you have something called Q. It's like karate. And the more you solve, the higher your Q is. Now, with this BCIT account, I played for 1 day, and I'm still in the top 11, I should say. Not nowhere near top 10. I was top 10 for 3 years. Top 10. Huh? I know. It was so sad. It was like I was like number 1 for 3 years for BCIT, for the BCIT clan. And then people topped me out by doing more. I should start like going against people again. Give me a sec. So, before you go crazy at it, which you won't be able to anyway, but before you go crazy at it, let's talk about what your objective here are. And let's talk about what Code War is really quickly. So this is a way to train your fundamentals, your algorithms, and a whole bunch of different things in here. It's to build your logic, really. A lot of things we realize that our students are missing is just fundamental logic, which if you were eardropping what William and I was talking about, that's the really big missing piece. That the drop-off is usually after the midterm project, and then people start losing their fundamentals and logic. So this year, I've decided to change it up a little bit, and we're going to focus a lot of the fundamental logics after the midterm projects. But I'm going to introduce this to you here. If you have time at home, go and play with it. Now, there's multiple objectives over here. when you press train, you're gonna see a layout that looks like this. I'm gonna introduce you to this layout really quickly, and I'll tell you what you should be looking for. The first part of this layout is the instructions. The instruction, there's a problem that you have to solve. They will write down the instructions. Preferably, some of them are not as clear. I mean, preferably they are more clear, but some of them are not. But you try your best to interpret this instruction. Then there's a solution. The solution, wherever they say write your code there, that's where you do the solution. And in all the solution you do, you'll always be returning something. So you always have to type return and whatever solution it is. For example, return 1. That's my solution. And then on the bottom right part, there's a sample test. And let me go really quickly what the sample test is. The sample, you don't have to know anything about the sample test except this part over here. They're saying that if I write in this function, try bond nasi, and I put in 1, 1, 1, and comma 10, then I should get this array back, this whole thing back. If I type in this, I should get this whole thing back. Right now, I'm only returning the number 1, right? Is this the same as this over here? What do you think? Is this item the same as the item over here on the right side? No. What do you think I'll get? Fail. All right, so when you run your sample test, you'll fail. You can even make an attempt. The attempt will tell you that you failed. Okay. Now this is a much harder question over here because it's in 6Q, which is where my level is at for BCIT. This is something that you wouldn't get no matter what. So let's look at the easier ones. Okay. So if you go on the top left side, you'll notice that there are a lot of navigation over there. Go to the one that says home will go back to your dashboard, but go to the one that says kata, K-A-T-A. And in here, you can choose the language you want to do, which in this case is JavaScript. And you can sort by the easiest. Sort by the easiest. And even the easiest is really hard. Just to let you know, even the easiest is probably not going to be on an interview question half the time. So if you go on an interview, if you can ace all the easiest ones, you probably can ace an interview no matter what. Now, you're going to go into this and you're going to go crazy. You're going to read the instruction and you'll probably go, I'm never going to get this. So this is not what we're trying to grasp at, that you'll never get this. What you're trying to do is build on your logic. Your first step, when you go into one of them, like find variable which breaks strict comparisons. Your first step is to see if you understand the instructions. Right, when I press train, do you understand the instructions? If you understand the instruction, then that's good. But you might not know how to build it. And that's normal. That's very normal to have. If you really don't know where to go and you Google already on the things that you feel like you've Googled, the second step is to unlock the solution and read the solution. So your second step is to research and then unlock the solution, which leads to your second objective. Once you understand instruction, do you understand the solution? Do you understand the solution? if you understand the solution as well as the instruction, then your logical thinking has increased by a lot already by that point. You may not be able to come up with the solution on your own yet, but just by understanding the instruction and understanding the solution, we will have already built a lot of skill set, and you will have learned a lot. For example, you see here something called return NaN. What the heck is NaN, right? You might have to search that up. So you search up NaN JavaScript. And by doing this, you learn something new as well. NaN, not a number property. And then finally, when are you going to be able to do this? Well, when you come up with your own solution for the first time ever. That's going to be the hardest part, coming up with the solution for yourself the very first time. Once you do that, then you are set to go in many areas that you've never realized you can go. All right. So I'm going to give you 10 to 15 minutes to play around with this. Go try it out. Go fool around with it. Don't worry about your status rating. Just go in. Take one that you think you'll understand. Right? Take one of the easiest one and see if you can understand it. And if you understand it, go ahead and try it out. If you understand the instructions, try it out. For example, going back to the one that I was playing around with, which was this training over here. For example, I don't know what's going on, but it says, in JavaScript, there is a special case where a strict comparison of the same variable returns false. Try to find out what must be done to get such result. Let's try. Return 1 equals to return 1 or something like that. Right? Let's run the sample test. Comparison should return false or the same value true. Okay, so let's say, okay, should I return true? Run sample test. Nope. Comparison equal should return false for the same value. So I have multiple cases that I'm doing something wrong, right? So then you just go ahead and try multiple things. Go ahead, try it out, play around with it. Don't expect yourself, if you breeze through it, then good for you. You're a genius. But try to pick one thing you can understand the instruction. Try. What output? First, you want to understand the instruction.
But then how am I supposed to know what not a number is?
Oh no, I mean like pick one, other one. Try to read the instruction and understand it. That's your first step. Try to understand what you're supposed to do with one of the instructions. What are they looking for? It's like riddles, right? Read through the instruction, even if you don't understand the instruction completely. Just read through it. Just read through it and all of this will help you build a good logical foundation. So again, if you don't know where to go, it's under kata, and under kata there you can search for JavaScript. And pick the easiest one, JavaScript, and sort by the easiest one. And then once you understood the instruction, attempt to try it. Attempt to do it. Attempt to return something properly. And if you I have no idea what to do, but I understand the instructions, I know what they want, then check for a solution. See if you could understand the solution as well. All right, I'm gonna stop you there. So how was that? Fun, right? Anyone manage to solve anything? Now, this is an introduction for something for you to look at. No, this is where scripting is more complicated and more geared towards problem solving than anything else. Again, your objective, if you can understand the instructions, that's already a big build on your logics. It will help you out, not only in programming, but in your life in general, I would say. Second is, if you understand the instructions and you don't know how to start, and you look at the solution and you can understand the solution, that's another big boost into your logic. Yeah, you understood the solution because you know you know what they're asking for, and you know how it was solved. Every time you learn how something is solved, then the next time when you see a similar question, you'll remember how that item was solved before. So that's another big boost in your logical thinking. And the moment you're able to solve on your own the first item on your own, then that is where you really have a big boost started into the whole scripting interface and whatnot. I think this mango one is pretty doable. Do you know how you would do it? 3 for 2, or 2 plus 1 if you like. Offer on mangoes for a given quantity or price per mango. Calculate the total cost of the mangoes. If you buy 3, you get 1 free. So that's why if there's 3 mangoes for $3, it would cost $6 because you bought you got 2 mangoes, and you get the third one for free. This is like a math question. Every time you buy 3, you get 1 more mango for free. So that's why 3 mangoes at $3 is $6, and 9 mangoes at $5 is $30 because you get 3 free mangoes. I'm not gonna. On your own time, price of mangoes. You can solve this one. Return something. Return? Question mark. Right. Return a whole bunch of math. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you at that. Let's go on to our lab today. So this is really good for your build-ups and thinking. Again, don't feel bad if you feel like you're totally stuck and you don't know what's happening. Is this the first time for you to ever see even anything like this, similar like this? No, you've seen things like these before? Where have you seen it before? Math contest? No, seriously, have you seen this, like problems like these before? Someone? What? In the web dev class? In math class. There is one more. Actually, I was researching, and there's one space that if you really want to start from the most basic and whatnot, I believe there's one space that there's another website that helps you. I'm gonna post this other one up later on, but I think it's called. Let me check really quickly. Oh, I'm gonna have to post it up later, but it's a lot. There's another one that's really for simple guides. In any case, let's start today's. So you notice in Code Wars, everything is in the form of a function. Everything's in the form of a function, right? And that's because this is how it's supposed to work in in most digital cases. First, it's easy to test because you're using a function. It's easy to test whether the function works or not. And second, it organizes a lot of different features in your application. We haven't gotten to the arguments and returns yet, but later on, you'll learn more and more about functions. This is the next big step, is to be able to separate things into their functions or understand how functions works properly. So you can do an hour of work in 5 minutes because you know how functions work. So let's build our functions for the day. And we'll be doing one of these every week together so that we can all build up our logics properly. So every week we'll go to some form of Cold War and work out a solution together. But on your own, please, just even reading the description will help you a lot. We're gonna build a password checker. What's a password checker? Something that
Checks the input value.
the input value. And we're gonna have a div for doing statuses, like your password is great, or your password sucks, or your password is blah 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 blah. Those kind of statuses. So let me double check if things are there. Gonna do some CSS just for fun to get started. And I'm gonna use some flex display so that I can put my password into the center of the screen. So that would be a flex display, and fixed position, left 0, top 0, width 100 view width, height 100 view height, justify content center, and align items center. And maybe we'll also do something with the input so that you have some padding in there and some font size in there, so we can see clearly our password check. Now the status is right beside it. We don't want that. We want it to be below it. So let's also change our flex direction to column so that our status can be right below it. So we're gonna build out some functions. Before we go on, let's actually think about what we want to do in here. So I'm gonna start you off, and you're gonna come up with your own afterwards. But for example, we might want to do, what do we check for in the password usually? The amount of characters there are, right? So let's say we check for the length. So in this function, checks the number of characters in what? In the input value. Okay, so on your own, write 3 to 4 more blank ones, just to organize 2 to 3 more, I should say, to organize what you're expecting your script to check for, what kind of UI, and what kind of possibilities there are. This doesn't do anything yet. It's just so that we can organize our thoughts properly. We're gonna have one that checks for length. What other checks could there be on your own? Right, 2 to 3 more. So prepare your functions and prepare all the checks that you're going to do. Again, it doesn't have to have anything inside. You're just preparing. It helps you organize your thoughts. What's probably going to happen here. So we have a check length. What other things are we going to check for? You let me know. What kind of function should I prepare to check? Function check number. Okay. So what does the number do? It checks the amount of number there are. Check the number of number. Checks the. I'm just use amount this one because I don't want the number. Amount of numbers there are. What other things are here? Say again? Capitals. Capitals, which checks the amount of capital characters there are. Checks the amount of cap chars there are. And finally, anything else? Special characters. Okay, so function check specials, which checks the amount of special chars there are. So this is always a good practice to have. Before you even start going scripting everything out, figure out what kind of things are supposed to happen in your application. In this case, we know that we're going to check multiple things because that's what we said, right? That's the instruction. We're going to create a password checker that will check for multiple items. In our case, we'll do length, number, capitals, and special characters. It helps us prepare for it. So let's start with the length. We want to check for the amount of characters there are inside this password. Well, first we have to read our UI that we're going to check for, right? Which one is the one that we're reading? We're going to look at the PW input. Okay, so let's start with making it efficient and getting it. So var PW equals to document dot query selector PW. And we most likely, are we ever going to change the status div? Okay, so we most likely will, so let's just prepare for it. We can't use the word status because that's already taken. If you try to use status as a variable, it'll fail. So you have to use something else. So I like to start with the letter M because most things don't start with the letter M. Document.query selector status. Something like that.
Where is status used?
The div?
How come the first one works? PW.
Oh, because there's no such thing as PW in, like, status is already taken by the elements.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you try to use, or by the window, you know how our window, we have something called window, right?
Yeah.
And it took up the word status. So if you try to use status, it will fail. So our inputs, whenever we type something inside, we're going to check the length of this, right? So let's do that really quickly. On key up equals to check length. Now you can do this with add event listener as well. That's not a problem. But what's the difference when you do add event listener? Do you type on key up? pw.add event listener and then on key up? No. Then what would it be? Do you remember? If you use add event listener, what do you put in the quote? You don't put on key up, right?
Yeah.
What's the you don't do a click, you do key up. All right. So so when you do add event listener, the only difference is you get rid of the word on. Yeah, and that's how you do add event listener. So I was talking about this with the other class, and I should also mention it. If you're doing this in a mobile application, there's no on key up doesn't really exist. What you have to do is on change. Whoops, on change. But on change doesn't work in the web one for some reason now. It used to work, but it only works for other inputs. But you can look at all the other ons there are. These are all your interactions. For example, on abort, on blur, on can play, on drag, right? So if it's on drag and I want to detect a drag with add event listener, what would I do? Dot add event listener, drag, right? So you get an idea of all the interactions that you can do with it. Okay, let's just make sure it works. let's just console log out something in our check length. Console.log checking length. And all we want to see is that when we type something, the words checking length is in there. Which it is, and that's good. That means we are detecting the interactions properly.
Do we have to, if we're doing a password, do you have to check the sequence in which things come up?
You could. You can put that in. That would be super hard to do, but you could.
But like most password detectors are, they check for sequence, right? For example, if you type password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They don't actually.
They don't.
Only the super strong ones would go, hey, I see that you have, like for example, Apple or like a bank will go, hey, I see that you have a word inside that might be easy to guess, like car. So you might want to change that up. But that requires a very complicated algorithm to check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're going to just do the easy ones that most website uses.
Yeah.
So how do we get the length of what I typed inside? How many characters did I type? How do we do that? There's a, okay, so first we have to get the value, and then we have to see what the length is, right? Okay, so let's do that. Var val equals to pw dot value. That's what I type inside. And then let's just console.log out val dot length. So that should tell me how many characters inside. Right? I don't know. You let me know. Okay, so it seems like it's going through. What do I do now? How do I check the length? What's the next part? What's a good length for a password? 10? 9? Okay, let's do 10. So what do I do? If what?
If these value length or something is equal to less than or equal to 10.
If val dot length is what? What? Okay, so it's equals to or more than 10, like that. And then what happens? Status dot what? Dot question mark. Right. Okay, sure. Inner text is equal to long enough. You can write whatever you want in there for all I can. Otherwise, inner text is equal to too short. Okay, let's see what happens. Something's wrong. What's wrong? More than or equal to. So the like that's not equal to 10, then if it's 11, is that good?
No. Like, what if we set it at 10 and we said anything doesn't equal to 10 as well?
Yeah, you could. So if it's let's say val.length does not equal to 10. So what number? What's what kind of pass would work? 10. 10 is long enough, right? And then if you write one more character there, how many characters are there?
11.
Is that long enough?
That's too long.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can do that then.
Yeah.
If you that's what you want to do, yes, yeah, that's what you want to do. If that's what you want to do, then yes, too long. That's an interesting approach. I like the thought. Your password is too long.
Is there a way you can like restrict how many characters you can put in input?
Yes. I'm not gonna go over that. The rest of this is already going to be enough to kill your brain. We add more. I don't know how much we can do. Yeah. Too short. Long enough. What's going on? Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, I know.
It's super cold.
It's hot. Yeah. It's gonna get super hot. At least I can't find your GPS.
Ow.
Yeah. Wow. Sensitive. Sorry. Sensitive.
Or is it just slow?
It's like
High resolution. You have a high
yeah, but they can't find your put it in your system.
Okay. Let's do something simpler for the next one. No, sorry. Let's do something harder than this, but the simplest one. On your own, check for capitals.
I don't know the add chart.
On your own, try to Google a solution to check for capitals. Try to search for a solution to check for all the capitals.
That's probably because you did. So I can see that fracture. Yeah. Down.
When you're looking for a solution, you're gonna be finding, maybe you're brave enough to implement a solution, but you're probably finding two different types of solution. One probably has to do with an array, The other has to do with something called regular expressions. Again, your job is to see if you can understand the solution, what they're doing. It's not just about copy and pasting. It's trying to read through the solution and understand what's going on. Because this process of Googling and finding solution is going to be half your life for the next year or two.
Okay, wait, are we trying to check it for capitals or are we trying to make it take capitals?
You have to check if there's capitals in there. Because if there's no capitals in there, what should you tell them in the status?
It's caps.
Maybe. You're right. Maybe you're wrong. You can do whatever you want. What I'm going to introduce is the most tedious way there will be. Because after all, we're all beginners. But I want you to go through the process of seeing if you can search for a solution and understand the solution. Before we go through. And if you're brave enough and you understood the solution, see you can implement it with your own UI. If not, then just understanding is already good enough. Yeah, give you 2 minutes or so to fool around. Okay, so I'm going to show you the most tedious possible way. Let's break this down a little bit. Check capitals. That's too broad. Let's say we don't check capitals. Let's say we just check for capital A. Forget every single capital. I just want capital A. Let's say we do something like that. Right? What are we really doing? We're checking if capital A is inside what we type, right? So the easiest way is to check what solutions there are. So you can go like JavaScript, check if a character is in a string. And you're gonna find out that there's something called index of, or includes. Well, there's something called index of, and you can use different methods to see if you can find different items. So let's actually screw index off. Let's use includes. Includes looks cool as well. So this method returns true if the string contains the characters and false if not, right? Okay, so let's check it out. So var val is equal to pw.value, and let's see how it's used, right? Var is in is equal to val dot, what's it called? Includes. What were we looking for? Capital A. And then we go if is in. If it's true, then what does that mean? Equals to true. What does that mean? Does that mean A is inside?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Well, if there's an A inside.
Okay, if it's true, then A is inside. So we go m status dot inner text equals to your password is secured. Else what? Else m status dot inner text equals to you need caps. So we're breaking it down into simpler test. Check capitals. That's what we want to do, right? Capitals over here. And we are gonna see if we can detect unique caps. Your password is secured. Right? And then if we erase the capital A, it's no longer secured. You need caps. Okay, that's for A, right? So I'm gonna keep this up here for now, and I'm gonna write like so. Does this make sense over here? Over 24 to 29, does this part make sense to you? Is anyone confused by 24 to 29? What's happening there?
So basically, it's if it has A in it, it'll say your password is secure, like a capital A.
Yeah, if it has a capital A.
And if it doesn't, it's going to say unique caps.
That's right.
So it is not saying that you have to make passwords.
It's probably because you're not checking for capitals in your inputs. On key up, check capitals. Did you change that in the inputs? We're not checking for length, we're checking for capitals now.
How can we do on key up and then it checks everything instead of just one?
Oh, that's later. Don't kill yourself yet. You want to know that now? All right, we have the basic logic down. Now all we have to do is copy and paste this. How many times do I have to copy and paste this?
For every letter.
Yeah,
26 times, right? Okay, let's do it.
Oh, let's not.
No? You don't want to do that?
It's going to be messy.
Oh. Why not?
Why don't we do like A to Z or
Yeah,
something?
can we do
Use that?
A to Z?
Get like a string bracket or whatever.
Like that?
Or like in the square.
So you probably found two different solutions. One's called regular expression, and one's in an array. But this is the real solution here, the tedious solution, because regular expression, arrays, those comes when technology were more advanced. technically, you could just finish this whole thing by doing 26 times this exact same thing. In fact, that's because we're all in our foundation process. That's how we would probably script everything. I don't think I ever told you, but my very first big assignment in my post secondary, I had 3,000 lines of if and else. 3,000 lines of if and else. I'm not even joking it. All right, because what I made was a translink bus detecting thing. I built the map, and I have to go through each bus number. If bus number is 001, then show this on the map. If bus number is 002, then show this on the map. Because I didn't have any foundation yet, right? All I know is I can do if and else. And that's what you go about. If and else, the whole thing. So we can go, all right, let's do it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on. Right? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it except it's way too long. So let's figure out a better solution to this. Let's make it so that we can include A, and then we can include B, and then include C, and whatnot. And instead of doing something like this, let's actually count the number of times that capital characters appear. So I'm gonna call this the C num. In the beginning, there's gonna be it's gonna be 0. And every time it includes the A inside, since it includes the A, then I'm gonna add 1 to C num. That's all I'll do. Well, I guess how many capital characters do we usually check for? Let's say 1 for now. So if the number of capital is bigger than or equal to or just bigger than 0, then m status dot inner text is equal to your password is secure. Else m status dot inner text equals to you need caps. Because I've reduced the amount of codes I have to write, now I just have to do this 4 lines 26 times. Big reduction, right? Reduce at least 26 lines going in. If we had the else on here, so now I just have to again copy this 26 times. And would I have to change every time I copy and paste it? From A to B to C to D to E until we get to Z, right? Okay, go for it. No, I'm just joking. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's not good, right? Because that's too long. It's too hard. It would be nice if we could do something like this. Var chars, let's say chars to check, the characters to check is equal to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. If there's some way we can do this, we can just take this whole string of capital characters and just go, hey, you know what? If the value has any of these characters, then that's just say then your password is secure. That would be great, right? So let's try console logging out the following: chars to check 0, chars to check 1, chars to check 2, like so. Okay, let's see what happens. You see the letter A, B, and C. What does that mean?
It's taking the first 2 letters.
So this, I guess you call it array brackets, right? This array bracket over here is taking the first character because of the number 0. Is that right? I don't know, is it? You let me know. So this here is taking this one, and then this here is taking B, and this here is taking C. Correct? Oh, that's good. That means I don't have to write the letter A anymore, and I just copy charge to check 0th character over here, and that's good. Right? Then I check for A. Instead of typing A, I've checked for A. And then I'll repeat this 26 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And instead, we are just gonna change the numbers now. We don't have to change the whole character. We just go to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 25. Isn't that good? Better? Why is it not better? You don't have to worry about it. Okay. So we want to figure out how to do this without worrying about repeating it over and over again, right? But let's take a look at this repetition over here. We are increasing a number, right? What is this called? An index? Is it what it's called? An index? Do you know? Is this called what the number inside the array? It's called an index, right? Okay. Okay. Forget that. This is too much work. Again, you're complaining it's too much work. I don't think it's too much work. I did 3,000 lines of this. I think it's easy peasy. But let's say I listen to you and it's too much work. I don't want to go through every line and change the number. Okay? What's happened to the number? It went from 0. The next one we use 1. And the next one we use 2. So what's happening with the number inside? It's increasing by 1. Okay. So I'm going to use a variable for this because if I know that the number is increasing by 1, I can add a number to it over and over again, right? So let's do that. Let's call it int for index. And what's the first number that I'm going to start with? 0. And instead of using 0 over here, we're going to use int. So the first time, it's going to check 0. Right? And then what do? I'm going to increase the number by 1 at the end, so that I can copy this whole thing and paste it one more time. Because the second time, what's it going to do? It's going to check, is this still 0? Is this going to still check for the 0 position? Is it? What position is it checking now? Oh, this is checking for 0, right? Because in the beginning, it's 0. So it's checking for the 0 position, which is A. Did this change at all? Did this update throughout the process? Yeah, this variable. Did anything change with the variable here? So what should this be the second time? It should be first is 0 and second time it should be 1, right? We added 1 to it. So the second time, there should be 1. Is that right? I mean, let's test this. Let's see if B works. Let's see if B works. We know that A is going to work. Your password is secured. But is B going to work? Oh, I didn't save my JS. But is B going to work? B is going to work. Because the second time, it's no longer 0 that you're checking. It's 1 now, right? So it's checking for, so the first time, this is 0. Which checks for A. Right, 0 checks for A. And the second time, we increased it by 1. So now it's 1. Oops. Now it's 1. And we check for B. Does this make sense so far? Well, I mean, doesn't this reducer work again? We don't have to go through each one and check again anymore. We just copy and paste this 26 times, and the number will eventually increase to the last character. All right, that's what's going to happen. I mean, if I copy and paste this continuously, the third one, this is going to check for C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Let's see if it's doing J right now. I'm just going to check right now. J, it's doing it. But is it doing K? Nope. But it's doing J. So, that's good. There. Very efficient. Isn't that good enough?
It's not good enough, Henry.
Why is it not good enough?
I want to do one line.
You want to do one line.
One line, Henry.
You want one line to do it
I
all.
don't want to see all these lines.
It's only doing one character. It's only making one character.
It's only looking for one character at a time. Well, it looks for other characters too. So I can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, oops, J, K, L. Oh, no L. Too bad. All right. So, how many times do we have to copy and paste this? 25 times. So let's try it. Let's make it repeat itself 25 times through a loop instead. Let's make it repeat, this whole thing repeat itself 25 times through a loop. We're going to use something called a while loop. While the number is smaller than 25. Wait, hold on. There's 26 characters, right? Maybe. Maybe not. We don't know. So you know how I copy and pasted the whole thing over and over again? Well, this item over here, first of all, you notice there is an open brace and a closed brace, correct? Everything inside the open brace and closed brace will be copy and pasted forever until this condition is no longer true, or in other words, false. So for example, if you want to break your system and computer right now, you can go while true. And what will happen is, if you do it and you're in preview, you're screwed. I'm just going to tell you right now. What this will do is it will copy and paste this line infinite amount of times. Infinite amount of times. Whereas over here, it's not going to go through infinite amount of times. It's going to go through as many times as possible until this condition is no longer true. So you know how I did copy and paste over and over again, right? Well, this is doing the exact same thing. This line 30 and line 36 over here is copy and pasting the item in here 26 times. Well, I don't know if it's 26 times. How do you know it's 26 times? Let's go through it line by line. What's in the beginning? Is 0 smaller than 26? Are you sure? Are you sure? 0 is smaller than 26. For sure. Okay, so therefore this line will be copy and pasted there. And what number is it checking in the beginning? 0, which means it's checking A, right? And then did we increase that same variable in this whole line? We did. So what does it become? 1. Okay. Is 1 smaller than 26? Are you sure? And we're going to be checking not 0 anymore. The second time it got copy and pasted, it's going to be checking 1, right? Which is character B. Then it increases to 2. Then it checks for character C. Then it checks for character D. Then it checks for character E until it hits 26. Or actually 25. Hey, which character is it checking at 25? Z here? So is 25 smaller than 26? Is 25 smaller than 26? Okay. Then afterwards, the number becomes 26. Is 26 smaller than 26? Why is it not smaller than 26? Okay, so it's not smaller than 26. Is it bigger than 26? Okay. All right. That's so let's check. A works. Yeah. Z works. Nice. No. And then every character now goes through properly. So you notice how we reduce the amount of copy and pasting, right, through doing variables and numbers. Now think about what we started with. We started with A, and then we said, okay, we just have to copy and paste this 26 times, 25 times, 26 times, and change A to B to C to D to E to F. And afterwards, we go, okay, that's too tedious. Why can't we just have one whole string like this and just say these are all the characters to check? And then we figured out that we can get individual characters by using array brackets and the index that it's in. So this is A, this is B, this is C. And then, okay, let's do the check with the individual numbers. Now we don't have to change A to B to C. We just have to change the number from 0 to 1 to 2. But then you're still complaining that that's too much work. Right? So then afterwards we go, okay, since it has to do with numbers, then we can just do some simple math with the number since it's increasing by 1 every time. So let's use a variable for it and increase it by 1 every time we do the check. Then we don't even have to go back and change the number. We literally copy and paste this line 26 times. And you still say that's too much work to do. Right? So then afterwards, let's have the computer copy and paste this 26 times for us. And this is where this loop comes into play. While this condition is true, copy and paste this set of code. And the thing is, if I block out this int plus plus over here, the whole thing will break. Why is that? The number doesn't increase. The first time it's going to be 0. That's going to be true, right? 0 is smaller than 26, right? The second time, is it still smaller than 26? What's the number right now? It's going to be 0 forever, right? So this is how we break the loop after 26 times. Okay, now that we did check capitals, why don't you do the rest of them? What do we have? Check number, and we have check specials. You don't have to do all the special character, but maybe just 5 to 6 special characters. And how would you check number? And how will you check the specials? Now that we've done the capital checking. Is it really simply just copy and pasting? And then it'll magically check for all the other things? Or maybe you have to change 1 or 2 items inside?
What would you consider a special character?
Just pick any, it's okay. Your choice. If you're testing, make sure you change the onTIA for the input to the one that you're testing, or else you might not get the results that you want. Okay, so let's go over it. If we're checking number, we technically all we do is copy this whole thing, and we paste it down here. But it's not A, B, C, D, E, F, G that we're testing for. We are doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And is there 26 of them? No, there's only, how many of them are there? So the biggest number is 9. Well, that's good. And you won't be unique caps. It'll be unique. Am I doing special? No. Oh, oops. My bad. My bad. Special. Special. I'm just gonna do these ones. So only 5 special that I'm checking for, and it won't be unique caps, but unique specials.
You run all the functions on it at once? Like in the HTML have like on key up for each function?
Yes, and we'll get there. don't go overboard yet.
Well, it needs to be all combined.
Yeah, that'll be later. That'll be much later. We still have 15 to 20 minutes to go. Prepare your brain. So let me double check. All right, you need specials. Okay, typing specials. Good, good. Yeah, good, and so on. And then it'll be the same for numbers, right? Check numbers. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and there'll be 10 things that we are checking for. So you need numbers. Oh, number. So let me double check. You need numbers. Good, 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 and so on. And if you want to increase the amount of numbers there are, what would you do? You would just make this so that if there's more than 3 numbers, then you're good to go. Right? So, right. So 4 and so on. Okay. Here comes the next part. First of all, does this still make sense to you of what we're doing? Is anyone super lost and what's going on right now? Feel free to what's the word called? Feel free to show me your dissatisfaction. Now, looking at this 3 function over here, they're the exact same thing. Well, not exact. There's one minor difference. What's the minor difference between the 3? What's the minor difference?
The array and the independent number or the index number.
So this chars to check is the difference, right?
Or the comparison.
And the comparison is different, right? Okay, let's figure out a way so that we don't have to repeat all the things that are repeated. Let's make a new function. We'll call it check chars. And we're going to paste the whole thing in there again. I mean, it would be nice if when we do check number, all we have to do is, or let's start capital. It would be nice if when we do check capital, all we have to do is use the function check chars and write the characters that we want to check inside. It would be nice, right? It would be nice if we just go, okay, I don't want to write all this. This is too much. I just want to, because we're repeating this too much, I don't want to write any of this. So I'm going to delete the whole thing. I just write check chars. And it will automatically check the characters I want to check. And then it'll be also nice to do the same for the numbers. Oh, I don't want to do any of this. I just have to write check chars. It would be nice to do something like this, right? Then you don't have to repeat the things 3 times in a row. You just have to use the same function in all three spaces. Right. and they will use the exact same function. This would be nice, right? This would be perfect if we could do something like this. But the problem is, it will always be checking for the same character. So it would be nice if I say, okay, I want to check capitals, but I want to do check chars, but the characters that I want to check is this. Oops, is this. And the characters I want to check is these. And the characters I want to check is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. That would be nice, right? That would be perfect. So we want to say I want to use the function, and at the same time I want to pass information over. Well, these are what we call arguments. So I'm going to call this chars to check as well. And instead of making a hard-coded chars to check, I'm just gonna comment that out now. It's no longer hard-coded, but it's gonna be the information that gets passed over from my arguments up here. So whatever I wrote here is now passed over to this variable. The exact same thing, oops, sorry, too loud. Exact same thing as typing line 36, except it's not hard-coded. It's passed down. The exact same thing as typing line 36. All right, so this over here is the exact same thing as if we were typing line 36. The problem is the number here is 26, right? That's not good. Because the second time it's not 26, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And another one, there's 10 of them, right? So this cannot be 26. It has to be the length of the character that I'm checking. I mean, does this work, right? So let's check it out. Right now I'm checking for number. Technically, it should still work the exact same way. So, numbers. Wait, hold on. Something's wrong with this. You need caps. But I'm checking for numbers. Why does it say you need caps? Because of this line over here, right? So this line cannot be static as well. Depending on what you're checking, it should be a different line. Okay. So if I'm checking for capitals, I should also pass in the information, you need caps, because that's my error message. And if I'm checking for specials, I should pass in the information, you need specials, because they're all different. And you need numbers. Wait, what's this thing? That's the second argument that I'm passing the information. But right now I'm only accepting one. So let's accept another argument that's being passed over. Since I'm going to be passing it over from different places, let's call it status string for the sake of clarity. So you notice I separate the information that I'm passing over by a comma. So I'm passing on the second information. And now, instead of a hard-coded status message at the bottom, it's going to be the second argument, which is status string over there. So each item, check special, check capitals, and check number, has a different set of characters that I'm checking, and it has a different set of status that I want to display. And I'm passing them both over to my one function. And why would we do this in the first place? Because we don't want to repeat line 32 to line 53 3 different times, because we were repeating this 3 times, right? Now, we just have to call on to the function and pass in the different arguments in there. Okay, let's see if it's still unique caps, unique numbers. Oh, that's good. Let's try another one. Let's try check capitals. Let's see if it's different. Unique caps. Okay, that's good. And then finally, check specials. You need specials. That's great. All right.
I got so lost. I think you started going fast there. I was so close to understand. I was like, but then you just start throwing things everywhere. You're like,
I know, right?
what the hell? I just made a mess.
And that's how it works. That's what you're trying to go to in your scripting, because as you can see, through functions, you can turn long lines of script into short lines of script. There's multiple purposes of doing this. Number one, it's efficient. It's easy to test and check which is broken and which is not. And a better incentive is that if you were going to charge a client, you would be charging them as if you would have to repeat it 500, 600 times. But you would actually just do it with how many lines? 54 lines of code, but you would be charging them as if you had to write 800 and 900 lines of code. So what you would normally take 2-3 hours, you can justify the cost with them, even though this takes probably less than 5 minutes, because of your ability to write this in a function and a loop format. All right. So that's a lot of incentives, but that's what you want to strive for when we're talking about functions and doing functions. And the last bit over here is combining them all together. So for example, now that we've done all our checks, check length, check number, check capitals, check specials, and this is to have all 3 of them together in one function. We can go, oh, let's make one function called key up, because this is my UI function. Whenever we key up, we're going to call onto the key up function. And what we're going to do here, we're going to check length. We're going to check number. We're going to check capitals. And we're going to check specials. But this will create a whole new bug. Right, this makes sense, right? Because when I key up, I want to check everything. And this will call onto all 4 functions and check everything. Let's see. You need specials. Okay, I'm going to put a special characters. Your password is secure. But what about my capitals and numbers? Okay, then you can go, okay, that doesn't work. So what do? You comment out the function that's working and check which one's not working. Check capitals. You need, oh, oops, I didn't save this here. Let me save it. Check capitals. You need caps. So I do a cap. Your password is secure. But I have no I have no numbers. Okay, that's not working. So I'm gonna comment out check capitals because I know that's working. And you need numbers. What about my length? Right, there's no too long or too short. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Right, that's the real question here. And this is where we won't have enough time today to go over it. We'll go over why this is happening next week. This is where, though, to give you an introduction, where your function, going back to Code Wars, where your function, why you have to return things in your functions versus updating your UI in the functions itself. Okay, so you notice we didn't return anything. We didn't return anything for any of our function, right? We just use, okay, let's update our UI when it's done. And this is what's causing this whole thing to break about. Because we are updating our UI at every possible function. And by doing an update to the UI at every possible function, you are messing up the UI itself. So I'm gonna save it at this. This is an intro for you to see how everything is supposed to be built with good practices.
Could you reveal the check charts?
Hmm?
Can you reveal the check
Yeah,
charts?
the last one. Is that just the code?
Yeah,
Yeah, sir.
it's the same code we did the first time around.
Just airdrop me your code.
I'll put this on D2L.
Because I was out today with you until you started pushing everything together.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he was just referencing it all, but I kind of got it, but I didn't know.
Okay, so it looked like a lot of things happened, but what we essentially did today is we reduced the amount of things you write. Well, we first expanded the amount of things you write, then we reduce it, right? Again, what's the objective when we do this? Did you understand the instructions when we were doing this whole password check? Did you understand what we were trying to do? We were trying to check for capital letters. We were trying to check for special characters. Did you understand that part? The instructions were. If you did, that's good. Did you understand the solution? Right? If you understood the solution, that's good. And then the third part is, can you implement the solution yourself? And that's, can you come up with the solution yourself? That's the breaking point. That's where you want to strive, that you can come up with a solution. Same thing for Code Wars. It's okay to not know what to do. Like you look at this mango, it's like I have no idea what I'm supposed to. It's okay. First step, do you understand what it's asking for? If you understand what it's asking for, then that's already very good. Second step, if you don't know what to do, unlock the solution. Do you understand the solutions that they're giving? If you understand the solution, then that's also very good. And then your next part is you want to strive is you need to want to come up with the solution. And you'll read enough solutions and then read enough instructions that you'll find a pattern that these are the solutions for these kind of questions. Because with that, I mean, like you look at me and you go, oh wow, this, I can't believe you just did this. But with more experiences and exposure to these kind of problems, you'll be able to come up on your own that, oh, of course, we can use one function to do everything and just put them all together. So in my mind, through a lot of different experiences that I could come up with something like that. And you can too. Just needs a lot of patience, a lot of exposure, a lot of experiences and reading to build your logical mindset. Any questions on this? If not, then I'll see you next week.